Hey everybody, this is the Progress Report, and we've been with you every Wednesday for
13 years.
13 freaking years.
Well,
Why don't you
language,
look
Bob. I mean,
why don't
it's
you
a-
look any
it's a-
older?
It's a family show.
I'm getting older, and
you're
like the portrait of Dorian Gray.
It
you don't
is,
get
it's
you don't
incredible.
age.
I don't know how it's happening. I'm getting a
Oh,
little
my
bit
God.
jowly on the side. You know,
Yeah.
the jowls are starting to sag a little
Losing
bit.
your hair.
I know where it all is. I don't bring it with me.
Anyhow, as we've done for many, many years, we're coming up on the grandest, best parade in the history of Manchester, New Hampshire, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is not happening tomorrow, which is St. Patrick's Day, but it is happening on March 27th. And it is one of the great things we do to celebrate the end of winter and all things Irish. And so we're really pleased to have back with us folks who are a big part of this event, which is one of the stellar events in Manchester in the entire year. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Farley.
Oh, you had to do that, Bob. Well, folks, we are happy. The first thing we want to do is invite you to call in 603-640-3091. It's a call-in show. We rely upon you. What we're going to try to do today is talk a little bit about the events that are coming up. We have two great members of the Manchester St. Patrick's Parade Committee, who is the official nonprofit that puts the parade on every year. This will be the 25th parade. It was supposed to be the 25th annual parade, but COVID kind of pushed us out. So it's the 25th parade, and we'll get back on an annual schedule.
Did we miss two of them or just
We
one?
missed two. We missed two parades.
Well, isn't that a grand thing to celebrate? And you could go
Well,
on with
it
the
sure
celebration.
is.
It's a wonderful thing.
So as the 25th parade, it was going to be the biggest parade ever anyway, and now, boy, the city sure needs it. We are blessed to have
We
with
do.
us two members of the parade committee, one of which is the Grand Marshal of the parade.
That's
Oh,
a
sure.
really
We have Bill Beiser with us.
that's a
And
really
we have-
big
You had
deal.
your turn.
Stephanie McLaughlin. And Stephanie, I'm going to go ladies first and rank first. I have always said that the Grand Marshal of the Manchester St. Patrick's Parade ranks slightly below the Bishop of Manchester in rank in the Irish community. It is an
Well, maybe
tremendous
above the
honor.
bishop, but a little below the pope. Can we do that?
It is a very big honor, and we are
It's a
very
wonderful
happy
honor.
to welcome you here, Stephanie.
Thank you.
That depends on the last name of the bishop. Right?
Good one, Bill.
Well, we are starting the show off with a bang. We knew
Yes.
this would be exciting,
Yes.
and Bill always brings his A game.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
also have with us Bill Beiser. We like to start the show by talking about the people we're talking with. Nothing happens in Manchester if the people don't do it.
Would you be willing to talk now about how we select our grand marshal? You don't do it. The Hibernians don't do the parade.
Sure. If you want to start there, that's a
I
great
think it's a wonderful story about how we select the grand marshal.
I'm going to go to Bill with this question because Bill he knows all and tells all. So tell us the process. It's
process
very convoluted.
was
It's
set up-
Byzantine.
It was set up a few years ago, many years ago, because the early days of the parade, there was a concern that capital P, politics, would be involved with the selection of the.
Oh, no.
And the first Grand Marshal was Bishop O'Neill, so there was no politics involved with that. But the next couple, there was some consideration, say, gee, so-and-so's a real good candidate. Well, no, they put another fellow up, and there was a lot of mumbling about the political aspects of it. So they said, look, we got to. It went on
Imagine
for a
that.
couple of years.
Irishmen
we got to
having
stop this.
political issues. I can't believe it, but okay.
So what happened is it was decided that the last 5 grand marshals would vote, would see all the nominations come from anyone in the public or within the Hibernian community, Irish community, non-Irish community. They fill out the nominations that has all the list of criteria. It's sent in and it's given to a committee of the past 5 grand marshals.
That is a wonderful, wonderful idea. I mean, take it out of any political, personal thing and let the people who've been honored select the next honoree.
Yeah.
I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful
The
tradition.
past grand marshal, the immediate past grand marshal chairs the committee, and they actually try to get 5 or 6 Irishmen together in one room without arguing, which sometimes is a challenge. But at least they get them all on the phone, and they say, do you have the package in front of you? Yes. Who would you select? So that's the process, and it is then put before the parade committee, and we do a formal say, okay, we accept the grand marshal's decision. So we
Does that
accept it.
imply you
Basically,
could reject it if you didn't like it?
Back to
I'd
politics.
never do that.
I'm sure you don't want to do that. But
Right.
Being an Irish Catholic fellow, now you not being Irish and Catholic, boy, you'd be a good guy on the committee. 'Cause you'd be the bomb thrower. But no,
I'd be honored to be asked, but I may
generally
not have the
by
right
then
qualifications.
It's pretty, we'll say, look, as a formal thing, the parade committee, which puts on the parade, raises the money and all that, we accept the committee of past grand marshals recommendation to be the grand marshal, and that's the process. It's been followed probably now for 18, 19 years.
Wow.
So
That
So
being
you-
said, I
you-
have no
you
idea
better-
how I
you
was
better-
selected.
That's your intro to introduce Stephanie.
And
I would
I was
think.
going to do that, Bob, but thank you for telling me how to do the show. I'm new to this. It's been on, but
It's my name up there, not yours,
It
which,
is,
I,
it is.
which I think is
maybe we should
a
get
great
phone
mistake.
call to settle these guys down.
you
No
are the
kidding,
boss.
No kidding.
Allow me to turn the attention
Yes.
to our current Grand Marshal and coincidentally, the longest serving Grand Marshal in the history of the parade.
Mike, it's interesting. I have no idea how I made the cut because you're absolutely right. This is one of the largest honors, certainly for any Irish person, here in the Manchester area. And my socks were just blown clear off my feet when I was told that I had been selected. And then to go from that to being the longest serving Grand Marshal in the parade's history is really, really quite a treat.
What does that mean, the longest serving?
Well,
Well,
because
I
we
was
didn't have
supposed
the
to have a parade in 2020, and in
of
normal
course,
times,
okay, thank
I
you.
would have handed everything over right in 2021.
Okay.
But I am now
Well,
3 years serving.
We're anxious to have you appear.
2 years serving. Yes, yes. I'm anxious to have a parade. What-
Absolutely, it's going to be
Absolutely.
wonderful.
It's going to be great.
Thus, your pay rate will be higher than any other grand marshal ever.
And my Grand Marshal pension too, right? Will be higher.
Well, it's an IRA. So
Well, you've put so much time in, you really deserve
Yeah,
a
I
better
do.
return.
I do.
Stephanie, you weren't, your name wasn't pulled out of a hat. You were nominated and selected as Grand Marshal for a reason. I've known you for many years. I met you when you were chairman of the Manchester Heritage Committee, which is a committee most people probably don't know about, which is a great committee
Yeah.
of the city of Manchester that
But you
works very
chaired.
hard. I
Yep,
succeeded,
succeeded me.
Stephanie as the chairman, and I was very proud to do it. But tell us a little bit more about yourself. Boast, brag, be a true
Oh.
Irish person, and
Okay.
tell us, what you've done for the city of Manchester because you're tireless.
Well, thank you, Mike. First of all, I'm a native, true native, and on my mother's side, third generation native. So that right there sort of
That's
sets you
special.
apart.
Yeah.
That is special. On my dad's side, though, his family came up from South Boston in the 50s and settled in Bedford. So native on my mom's side, many generations, but just one step out of South Boston on my dad's
What's
side.
the old joke? Just because a cat has kittens in the oven doesn't make them biscuits, right?
That one's new to me. I love it. I love
Never
it.
heard that one either.
Bob, have you heard that before on this show?
From you?
No, not for me.
Proud graduate of Central High School, right here in town.
Yeah,
Yep. And let's see, went down to Boston and went to Northeastern University.
No, my dad went there.
Yeah, great school, great town. And then I stayed in Boston for a few years after school and moved home. And that's really when my roots kind of grabbed me back by the feet, and I really started getting involved here in Manchester. Partly, I think it was my grandmother on my mother's side. When I was a teenager, she was retired, and she would get involved in things, and she would volunteer at the church and at the hospital, and it just seemed such a normal thing to her. She just did it. There was no fanfare. It was just looked like it was something you were supposed to do. And then as I got involved in the business community, it became very clear that, people got involved here. That's kind of the culture of people who are invested in Manchester.
Well, some people do, some people don't.
It's true.
You did.
I did.
So I'm really interested to hear about your involvement.
Well, thank you.
I think it's important to say, though, one of the criteria of being a Grand Marshal, of course, is being known and active in the Irish Catholic community. But one of the criteria also is what other community things have you been involved in that have been to the greater benefit of Manchester and Greater Manchester? And this is a perfect example.
Well, I'm
Oh, yeah, a
I'm
variety
delighted to hear
of
that,
different-
and I want you to talk about that.
Okay, all right. So I suppose, well, I'm one of the founding members of the Manchester Young Professionals Network. That was 15 or 16 or 17 years ago now, when it was really a revolutionary kind of idea for the young folks in the business community to come together. And so I'm very, very proud of being involved with that in its early years. And for many years, I was chair of that for a number of years. Like Mike said, I got involved in the Heritage Commission in Manchester, partly because I lived in the historic district, and I realized how important it was to take care of our history and our culture and our heritage.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I did that for a number of years. Then I got involved with the parade committee, and it was funny. A guy I knew said, "Man, come check out a committee meeting," and so I came, sort of not knowing what it was about, and found that at least one of the guys on the committee worked with my grandfather, Leo McLaughlin, many years ago at Sanders, and that was Jerry Holleran.
Oh yeah,
And
Jerry.
it just right, and it just right there, straight, an arrow to the heart, because I sort of thought this was a good Irish girl thing to do. I thought that my grandfather would be tickled, that I was getting involved with a St. Patrick's parade, and there it was, a man on the committee sort of bringing his name to me right off front. So I knew it was a meant to be kind of moment. So I spent about a decade working very, very, intricately with the parade. I've also been a member of the UNH Manchester board advisory board for many years, almost a decade now. So
UNH Manchester? Yeah.
UNH Manchester, yeah. So I tend to get involved with things and stick with them for a long time. I don't tend to sort of jump from one thing to the other, and so there are there are things that are close to my heart, and those are the things that I invest my time in. And meanwhile, 15 years ago, almost to the day, I went out on my own and started my own business. So I've been raising, that's my baby, and I've been raising it for the last 15 years.
And what is your own business?
So I own Savoir Faire Marketing Communications right here in Manchester, and we're a boutique marketing communications agency that works with small and medium-sized businesses. So I've been building that and growing that, and so yeah, I suppose I have been, invested in the Manchester community, pretty significantly over the years.
You're a great example of hundreds and hundreds of people in this city, a lot of people like to throw rocks at Manchester, and if they would only just look at all of the work, and it's volunteer work. It's done for love and to help the community.
Yep.
And I want to kind of turn the conversation to that, because a big gift that the Irish community, the parade committee, the Ancient Order of Hibernians is very highly invested in that. It's a gift to the community, is the St. Patrick's Parade.
Absolutely.
We are at the 16th of March. We're right in the middle of the month of March. And Brendan, I'm going to ask you to put up the first file I sent over, the picture of the proclamation, because I do want to take a minute to thank Mayor Craig for declaring the month of March, as she has done from the beginning of her term, for declaring Irish Heritage Month in the city of Manchester. We have been enjoying that for years now. And that's this year's proclamation. She always jazzes it up. She has the little shamrock ribbon this year. Last year it was a tricolor, and you'll notice the green ink. But
I appreciate the green pen.
Yeah,
nice job. Nice work.
So, folks of Manchester, if you read that proclamation carefully, everyone, Irish or not, is supposed to get involved and have fun this month. So it's very, very important. Your city calls you to duty, and we've seen some great things. There's been some great Irish entertainment up at the Dana Center, over at the Millyard Museum.
Right.
Bill, I think you went to see that show.
Very nice show.
We've had some Irish-themed road races. You know, the local businesses and restaurants are putting out their green, and I expect tomorrow that there will be a large uptick
Yes.
in consumption of the hospitality industry here in Manchester.
And
That's
thank
gently
goodness,
put.
thank goodness we're able to do it again.
Yes, it's
It's-
a great
Absolutely.
thing. It's a great thing.
Hurrah!
It's a great thing.
You might note that effective a couple days ago, the flags are up on Elm Street.
Oh, nice.
Excellent,
So
the Irish flag.
The U.S. flags are on the poles on one side, and the tricolor is on the other side.
And the shamrocks out beside City Hall.
Yep. They were
painted.
We painted those.
Well, she was there. I was.
I
They
was.
painted
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. Right?
2 Saturdays ago, we were out there.
Oh, it's been there a while.
Freshening up our shamrocks
Yeah.
for their big show.
Very, very important. Very important. So I'd like to turn now. Now we're all gearing up. We've got tomorrow. There will be the passing of the Sash Mass at St. Raphael's
On Saturday.
on Saturday evening. The Hibernians will participate in that to support you. And then your reign actually begins.
That's right.
And then we make our way to the 27th at noontime. It is going to be great weather. I've already heard that.
Good.
So the weather's going to be great.
That's a decree. All right.
I'm declaring it. I'm declaring it.
You know, when I was parade coordinator for 7 years, I said, God, I'd like to find somebody that could predict the weather for me, and I never
kidding.
did. I
Well,
just
you know-
suffered through it.
It was Yogi Berra who said predictions are difficult, especially about the future. So, you know, we have to keep that in mind. But I feel it in my bones. The city of Manchester needs it.
It sure
we're
does.
gonna
We
step off
sure
at
do.
noontime.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
And Bill, I'm going to put the microphone away. I'd like you to tell us, what are we in for? How many marching bands? How many pipe bands? What are we going to see?
Well, the interesting thing was that the committee itself has not had a live meeting in probably, I don't know, a year and a half. And I'm kind of the tail end of the committee because I was a parade coordinator. I'm a past Grand Marshal along with my wife, Mary Ellen. And I wasn't really active until I attended a Zoom meeting last week. And I thought, geez, did you guys think of this?
So that's how you got
Remember that?
nominated to
Remember
come on the show, right?
Yeah.
that? So,
When I heard that Bill was going to be here tonight, I said, "Wait a minute! I thought he retired from the parade committee several years ago." But
keeps trying.
have you ever seen the gesture where you throw a line
yes,
in the water?
yes,
Yeah, that's me.
Yep, that is you.
So when I saw the list of units, because I remember a couple of years ago before the plague hit, I said, geez, you know, this is going to be a smaller parade, the next one we have, because some of the units aren't going to be around and we aren't going to be able to get sponsors. We had the money that we collected in 2020, we gave most of it back.
Oh, I didn't
We
know
wrote
that.
to them and said, hey, there's no parade. There's no parade permit, therefore there's no parade. So most of the money we gave back, we had a little bit left over.
That
So when I
shows
looked
some
at these
goodwill.
units and I said, gee, these names go back 10, 15 years. These units are units that we had many of them for 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
And they're coming back. Units, one of the flashiest units of all is called the Jim Dandies, and it's from Maine, a town in Maine. And these young high school kids, they ride unicycles,
Oh, yeah.
but not the unicycles that are this high.
Yeah.
They're 6 feet high.
Yeah.
So the kids are like 10, 12 feet up in the air, and they juggle, and they throw things back and forth to one another from the 6 foot high thing, going down the street, waving to the crowd, and the kids love it. It's one of the most colorful units we've ever had. I'm surprised they're coming back. We have
Wow.
3 different Shriner units this year.
Really?
They're always
always
fan
ahead.
favorites.
They are.
Usually the Shriner clowns with their calliope, they go down because we always figured, you know, a lot of people with kids have been standing out there 25, 30 minutes waiting. Send the clowns
Right.
and let them get the kids distracted,
Yeah.
give the parents a break.
Warm up the crowd.
But probably the craziest unit from the Shriners is these crazy guys. They have they drive a truck down the street, and they have all these little cars that drive around. And there's a ramp on the back of the truck, and a ramp on the front of the truck. Truck's driving down the street and go bounce when they get there. They go around, and they're from Shriners in Massachusetts, and the kids love it. I mean, they look at it and they say, "You're not going to do that." These are adult men driving these cars, and they're having a ball. You can see them roaring around there. So they're a good group. We have all 3 Manchester high school bands.
Oh, really? That's
That's
great because
that doesn't
that's
happen
been a
every
little
year.
tricky. Yeah.
Well, I remember having a breakfast with Dan O'Neill, the parade president, and the then superintendent of schools, and about trying to get the high school bands involved because they hadn't been forever.
A long time.
Oh yeah. So we negotiated something where they were 1 high school per year, And then
Right.
we were supposed to have our 25th and said, hey, we want all three. Well, the 25th is, so all three are going to be there.
That's
which
great.
So
I
is this
think
the
it's great.
25th,
This will be the
It's
25th
the 25th parade.
Really?
Yeah.
Not annual anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Not annual,
Yeah,
but the
the 25th
25th parade
It started
in the history of the city.
1996,
Right.
Yeah. And we're going to get a, let's see, Bishop Girton band is going to be there. They're a very good band. Bedford High School
And of course,
will be there.
Londonderry.
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 they got
Curb to
Awesome.
curb, they
They
take
got
up
an
the whole street.
awesome band.
They sure do.
I think they've been in the Rose Parade.
They've been
They
to the
have.
Rose Parade. They've been to
Yep, they stepped down to go to the Rose
the
Parade.
Chinese, the original Olympics in China, maybe 10 years ago.
Yep.
They were one of the bands that opened up the Olympics.
Yeah.
in
I remember
China.
that.
And they also did
Remarkable.
2 inaugural parades, presidential.
Yeah,
Really?
they're quite a band. The
Every
Marching
year,
Lancers.
I guess
Yeah.
maybe even
Lancers.
this year, on the 17th of March in New York City, the Londonderry band's always there. Doesn't
Nice.
matter what day of the week it
Yeah.
falls on. So they're
Awesome,
marvelous
awesome.
reputation.
Awesome music
Great
program they
reputation.
must have in that school.
Well, we've hit the 20-minute mark. You want to take a 30-second break, Bob?
If you think so.
Sit back. We can
I'm
regroup
ready.
and see where we're going to go.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Don't go far. And we are back. I hope you had a chance to grab a sandwich and come back to your couch and watch this
And
entertaining.
I hope you'll think about calling us in.
Oh, yeah, good point.
640-3091.
603-640-3091.
Oh, yeah, we
because
gotta do
we're a
that
primitive
now.
state
Yeah,
now.
primitive state.
But
But, we'd love to hear from you if you want to call us.
Bill, I'd like to continue. Stephanie, jump in any opportunity you want. What other things can we look forward to? Actually, you know, you want to go to some pictures? I've got some pictures of some old parades. Brendan, can you just put them up at random? We're going to test Bill's knowledge.
Are they embarrassing to me?
I don't think they're embarrassing. No, you know, there were a couple great pictures of you do, but I put them aside because we had you live. Here's a picture from the parade. This shows the Hibernian pipes and drums. I had to put that up there with the
Correct.
Of
with the
course.
proud emblem of the Ancient Order of Hibernians proudly displayed on the bass drum. My favorite band of all time, the Muchachos,
They will be in this parade.
and they're
Yes,
coming
they will.
back. Yep.
They're probably the longest standing marching band we have in the city, aren't they?
Oh yeah,
go
they're
back
coming
a
back to their former
long way.
glory.
I think it's about 3 generations worth
Really?
in the band. Yeah,
What a tradition. Keep that going.
And here, the theme of it all. Here come the Irish.
This is the lead banner in the parade.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's Division 1, huh?
Yeah,
That's more of the Hibo bands.
Yeah.
yeah. Those are the Hibernian pipes and drums, looking good.
This is a unit from the a unit that was a member of the Irish Brigade in the Civil War, the 28th Massachusetts Regiment, and they
Really?
yes. Yeah, the Irish Brigade had about
Wow.
5 different regiments, and they'd run them in and out based
Yeah.
based on casualties. But yeah, we had them in the parade for a
Wow.
long time. You see the green flag there? That was the Irish regimental flag they were carrying. Nice group.
Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War. Yeah.
And here's my favorite organization.
Of course.
I want to point out, you can see that young person wearing the Merrimack High School jacket, Merrimack High Honor Society, is it, Bill?
It's the Honor Society, yes.
They come out and they volunteer and they carry all the banners in the parade. So we bring the community
Will that
in
be
together.
happening in
Hey,
the
who's
town?
that guy in the
Yes.
green hat behind that kid?
The sunglasses.
Is he bald? Is he taking the hat off?
Hey, there's
And
me.
there's our Grand Marshal. I figured
Oh,
I'd sneak that in,
lovely
Stephanie.
picture.
That's the
Mike.
official portrait.
That's a
for the
really fine
website.
picture.
Yeah, that's a nice picture.
Is that all you got? I want more.
Oh, I should have sent more in. That's all right. That's all right.
I can tell the story about the banner bearers.
Tell us a little
Guess
bit
who
about that.
guess who credit goes to get the banner bearers?
I wouldn't even know. Oh, Stephanie, really?
She
Well,
had
how
a-
appropriate.
A
Excellent.
fellow who went to high school with her, and he was the athletic director in Merrimack. And over the years, we had so many problems with banner bearers. One time, many years ago, poor Jim Sheehan, I thought he was going to have a heart attack. They had these kids like this youth rehab program from some group, and we gave them the banners, and by the time they got to the parade zone, the banners were all broken. The kids were dragging them down the street, flinging them around and all that. And she says, "Geez." We had the kids at the little Catholic school, the little Polish school, but these banners were 10 by 3.
Too heavy, yeah.
And
yeah,
so we
for
thought we had to
little
get
kids.
big kids. We tried to get high school kids, and then at her suggestion, she said, "Look, why don't we get the athletic teams in Merrimack and
Sure.
pay them?
Right,
We pay them."
right.
And that kind of devolved from that into the Honor Society.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down and I met the lady and the man there, and I gave a briefing to the kids a few years ago, and it's worked out very well. They're very reliable, and they come and I tell them, don't wear anything Manchester. Wear your Merrimack
Right.
stuff. Show off your Tomahawk
Show your
stuff to
colors,
everybody
yeah.
that comes in hats, jackets.
Yep.
And even now they've learned dress in layers.
Yes.
I remember the first
We've
year,
all learned that.
half the kids were freezing because they had their Merrimack sweatshirt on,
Right.
and it was too cold.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is still March.
And we get this every year, right? Right about now, we get this beautiful warm up and a taste of spring, and we all think, "Ooh, it's touching 60 degrees," and we're so excited. And for some reason, parade day comes around, it's always 38 or 42.
I'm
and
looking at the gray sky over the armory.
Well,
you
it's
know,
a
as
lot
we-
better than if you're trying to do it this weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
the decision to move this parade to the end of March was definitely a good idea.
Well, and that's one of my favorite stories too.
Yeah, let's
from
talk
the time
about that.
that I was on the parade committee. There are this year. I think we're having it's either 6 or 7 pipe and drum bands in the parade.
Really?
Bunch of
Yes,
them.
Bunch of them.
Yeah, that's a big
Wow.
number.
Well, and here's the thing, right? These guys, this is their big season. This is their high time. So they try to get in as many parades as they can
Yeah.
during the month of March, starting last weekend, all the way through. And so if we did it Saturday or Sunday before or after St. Patrick's Day, you're competing with other towns, with other
Right,
cities.
right.
You're competing with bigger
Big
parades.
cities, yep. South
Yeah.
Boston,
Right, South
Worcester.
right,
Yeah.
Springfield, Holyoke, right,
Newport.
Philadelphia, and so we didn't want to compete against those parades because that
Right.
the people who pay for that are the spectators, watching the day of the parade. So we decided to go to the last Sunday in March as a standard. So that none of our units would be in competition with other parades. And also, it's, we're 2 weeks closer to spring, so hopefully we get it. And it's cheaper, too.
It's cheaper at the end of the
Well,
month.
I think it was.
See, I was doing all the spin. Right?
Yeah,
I
well,
was doing all the
he's
good
the former
stuff.
treasurer,
yeah,
right?
I
I
mean,
So-
there was a time when you tried to do this on the weekend closest to St. Patrick's Day.
We tried
It was a
way-
brilliant idea to move this back.
way in the
You
earlier
get the
years,
bands, you
we
get
had
them
it
for less
on
money.
on different dates, and I remember I think the
Excellent.
second or third parade, it was on the
Yeah.
first Saturday of the first Sunday of the month. There was a monster snowstorm. I mean, it just Dan O'Neill had to go around on his hands and knees to make sure the highway department had the street clear. The following Sunday, a week later, the snow mounds were this high,
Right.
and they finally said,
Yeah.
"No more.
Yep.
If we're going to have a problem with rain, we'll have it with rain, but
Right.
not snow on
Right.
the last Sunday of March." And so
Right.
it's worked
Right.
out very well for
Very
Yeah.
well.
for the
I would say
bands
it
and
definitely
for
is.
us.
Yep.
And I want to talk
And
about
for the families who come out.
Yeah.
and they come out.
come out.
Those streets from North Elm, Salmon Street, all the way down to
Through
Veterans
downtown,
Park.
yeah.
People are 5 and 6 deep on both sides of the
Yep.
street, even in not the best weather. And when
Right.
the weather's good, boy,
When the
everybody
weather's
comes
good,
out.
yeah, you could see 30,000 people outside on,
And
on
I'm
Elm
gonna
Street.
jump on beyond that. Think of all the business that is done in downtown Manchester that would not be done. That those people would be at home, they'd be doing something else.
What
But
a-
it brings everybody in. It's a gigantic engine for the city of Manchester.
What a wonderful boost for downtown businesses to have a Sunday afternoon in March be, like
With a
like
place exploding
the
with
place
Have
people.
40,000
exploding.
people on the street watching a parade.
absolutely restaurants and bars and coffee shops and some of the retail shops even will open their doors. So it's truly a great day for downtown Manchester.
And I'm going to throw the icing on the cake. It cost the city how much?
Oh, that's a great number. Can I say it?
It cost the parade committee.
That's
No,
a different
it
number.
cost the
That's a different
city
number.
of
I want-
Manchester.
Nothing.
It's
Nothing.
a gift to the city of Manchester.
It is. It
That's
is.
right. The,
Talk a little bit about that. Talk
There
about
are-
the fundraising.
The Veterans Parade is paid for by the city in the police budget. We have to have police officers. The Memorial Day Parade is paid for by the city with police overtime. This is a private parade. We invite whomever we want to. If some people we don't want to in the parade, we don't invite them, and if they show up, they can't participate because they haven't been invited. But because it's a private parade, we have to pay to have the street sweeper go down behind the horses to, never mind. And for all the police detail, and this year we'll have to pay an additional, I won't say the amount, but it's a significant amount of money because all parade standards now since Wisconsin, you have to have dump trucks sealing off the side streets
Oh.
so
I
people
Oh, you
don't
do?
ram in. Yes.
That's a new thing this year?
It's new this year.
I did not
Well,
know that.
actually, the Christmas parade, I think, was the first time it happened. So,
Oh,
so
really?
I think
wasn't
there's
aware of that either.
a couple dozen dump trucks that are blocking off various intersections. Every single
And that's a safety issue against.
yes, yeah. Every single corner, instead of having a police officer, it's going to be a police officer plus a car. So the car will be blocking over here. The policeman will be over on the other side.
It's kind of
And
sad
what I
to hear
learned-
we have to do
That's
that.
too bad. And I learned today is at the end of the parade, normally the end we'd have a charity or something. Remember going down, giving food?
Yep.
No more. The end of the parade is 3 police cars abreast.
Really?
Because at Messon, Wisconsin, I think he came up from the rear
Yep.
and started running people over. So there's 3 police cars abreast going
Isn't
down.
that
the street.
sad that we have to do that?
I think I think it's culturally appalling
I
that such
certainly
things
agree.
happen. It's terrible.
Oh,
Just
my
terrible.
goodness.
Well,
Well,
you know, we can't fault the people who are making these plans for making good plans. You know,
No.
as appalling as it is, the need.
No.
But
I think the thing that, is so wonderful is, this is not an inexpensive parade to produce. I know from my time on the parade committee. And it is supported completely, 100% by people and businesses here in Manchester and in the surrounding
even
towns.
individual small donations. I
Yeah.
know
Yes.
Mike Dolphin, that's what he's
Yes.
doing, is collecting individual donations from
Absolutely.
people.
I mean, people are donating $10 and $25 and $50 and it's wonderful. And some people are donating in memory of a loved one or an Irish relative or loved one who's gone.
I think our budget this year is, thankfully, I'm not the treasurer anymore. The budget, I believe, is somewhere around $45,000 to $50,000.
Yeah,
And
typically
Jim-
about 50.
Poor Jim Sheen, he was the parade coordinator, God rest his soul, for 11 years. He always, whenever he got on TV, he'd say, the total budget for the first parade was $6,000, and we weren't sure how we were going to pay for it. Now it's a big multiple of that,
Yeah.
just because of the classy units that are
frankly,
there.
I'm surprised it's not more than that with all you do with that money.
Yeah, it's a serious business to raise money. It's a very serious business putting the parade on.
Yes,
And-
it
and
is.
she knows.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
It's hard work.
It's hard work, and truly, after the parade, you get maybe a month or 2 off, and then
Start all
then
over
it's
again.
you start all over again. It takes a year to put an event of this size and magnitude together.
So, Bill, you've been involved with this a long time.
Before we jump on that, I want to jump in. We're talking about sponsors. I'm sorry, but this is important. Folks, 40,000 people, customers, are going to come to your business on Elm Street. If you are not donating to the parade, come on now. If you visit a business on Elm Street, ask the bartender, ask the proprietor, are you sponsoring this parade? And shame them into doing it. Every business on the length of Elm Street should be donating a little something toward this parade. I'm very sorry, Bob, but I had to throw that out.
That
there.
was a perfectly fine intercession on your part. I don't regret it at all.
Appreciate your
Okay.
indulgence.
We have a number of bagpipes, and generally what happens is, as you recall, the bagpipes kind of, they'll go back after the parade to their sponsor's
Yep.
pub and go in and just blow the roof off.
Right.
People in there holding on their hands, and they're saying
Yeah.
they loved
And
it.
indoor bagpipes can be really
They sure can.
extraordinary.
Yeah, about 8 or 10 of them.
Yep.
Building with low ceiling.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so
So
we
how
have,
do the bagpipes get so associated with St. Patrick's Day? You think of the bagpipes as Scottish.
Oh no! You're
No.
mistaken. The Irish gave the bagpipes to the Scots, and they still haven't gotten the joke.
I don't want to say this to you, Mike, but I heard actually the English invented the bagpipe, but I don't want to throw that out there. But anyway, okay.
I didn't hear that word, but
well,
not today.
most of the, most bagpipe bands, maybe not in New England, but everywhere else have kind of a Scot origin.
Yes.
But in New England, it's kind of hard to find a Scotty. There's one Scotty
Oh, the
band,
school.
the school. We used to be called the Old Scottish School of Culture and all that.
Yeah.
They have an excellent band, and they're in it. They've been in it almost forever. The police band is in it, and that's not, there's Irish and everybody else in the police
Non-ethnic.
band. Yeah, they have to be in law enforcement, and they're a big, large, excellent band.
They really are.
Our guest band this year, who was here in 2019, which I have no memory of. I don't know what I was doing, but they're from New Jersey.
I remember those guys.
Yeah, they're from New Jersey, and they
They
came
were
back.
a lot of fun after the
I'll bet.
parade.
Yeah, Bergen County, New Jersey. They're
I
our
remember
guest
those
band.
guys.
Yeah.
They dropped in the Rover, I believe, for a minute or two.
Probably more than a minute.
Yeah.
But we have the police band, we have the Hibernian band, Bergen County.
Yeah, let's,
and there-
let's,
I think
let's
there
talk
were,
about props to the Hibernian band.
I
mean,
believe there
they've
are
been
2 or
with us for
3
a long
bands
time.
from, at least one from Massachusetts.
I think there's one
Maybe
from
one
Maine.
from Maine,
I think
one
there's one
from
from
Maine.
Maine. Portland, I think.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we had the band from, there's only one in Vermont. We had them here.
Yeah.
So we try to,
So you're going to have about 4 or 5 bagpipe
I think
groups?
there's 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's always such stirring music.
So there's going to
you
be
can't.
going to be 5 pubs
get-
after the parade that are going to have a grand time.
Yeah.
And then the Hibernian, they're sponsored by Murphy's Tap Room. So they go there, and then they'll go over to Sweeney Post. Sweeney Post always has a party from 1 to 5
Yeah.
in the hall there. They
Yeah.
have step dancers, they have the Hibernian Bagpipe Band, and they serve food. And Legion Baseball sponsors that. And it's always a good time. The kids, you've
Yeah.
been there. The kids, these little
Yeah.
kids run around. The music's playing. These kids are ramming around the floor because they never had this big room
Right.
where the adults let them run around and do whatever they want. I mean, it's really a great family time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you want to talk about what you're doing to deal with the current world affairs crisis we're facing in this parade, don't you?
Well, we could do that. Why
We
don't
can
you
certainly
talk?
mention one aspect of it.
Why
Sure.
don't you talk about, given what has occurred in late February, early March? I'm going to tell the story I told at our Hibernian meeting. You know, when I saw that Russia had invaded Ukraine, my mind immediately went back 800 years to another world power, England, who looked next door to a lesser power and said, boy, that looks juicy. I think I'm just going to take it. And they did. And to this day, we still pray for a united Ireland under Irish rule. So I certainly felt a kinship with that. What they say about the Irish, they forget everything but the grudges. I know that the Ancient Order of Hibernians is going to include the Ukrainian flag with our color guard.
With our color line, yes.
To show support for the people and the state of Ukraine. But tell us a little bit more about what the parade committee is doing.
Well, this has been, I'm not going to go the whole procedure. John, Dan O'Neill calls Mike Dolphin our ambassador because he said, Bill, you spent too much time in the Army. You can't be a good ambassador and not offend people. So Dolphin has worked very hard.
Yes, he has. Mike's a real
And so
hard
what
worker.
happened is I saw in a Manchester paper down the bottom they had a big demonstration at City Hall with the Ukrainian flag and that big truck that had the colors on it. So I said, gee, there's a Ukrainian church in town. So I went up, of course I went to the bar. I went up to the Ukrainian American Citizens Club. I walked in there and not much. And he said, oh, that's that church. Yeah, it's the one right across from the ice rink. I said, that's the Russian Orthodox Church. Oh, I thought it was a Ukrainian church. Well, anyway, there is one. We found a church. Mike and I talked to the pastor, and it's run out of a diaconate in Connecticut. And so we ran around. I finally got a call from a man, and he said, are you involved with the parade committee? I said, yes, who's this? He said, gave me his name. He said, you probably don't remember. I used to be a member of the Hibernian Pipe Band.
Oh, wow.
And he's on the parish council. His wife was a Polish
I love
native.
Manchester.
It all,
Right.
What a town.
it all just blossomed. And I said, well, how much influence do you have in the parish? He says, I have a lot. So he said, I'm going to send the parish council all this stuff. So we're looking forward to get the Ukrainian church marching as a group
Wonderful.
in the parade. Jim Walsh has designed a banner with the Ukrainian flag. And I said, John, I said, you and Jim can decide what you can have nothing on it. You know, it's national colors. Do you want? But most of the Ukrainian things you'll see, they have printing "Pray for Ukraine" all
Right,
over it.
right.
But you can decide. Do you want the name of your church on it? Who's ever heard of their church? Nobody. And you can
Well,
say
I'm sure
anything
their
on it.
parishioners have, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
we're gonna have we provide them with a banner, and I said, John, you got to go find that truck. And then however many kids you want to put in, families, they can carry the flags. They can do whatever they want.
That's wonderful.
And I've seen a couple emails go back. This is happening. They're putting together a contingent, and we're gonna be able to show that kind of support in the parade.
We
Which I think
haven't
is a
done
great
the
thing.
parade lineup yet, but one of the things we kicked around, I thought the brilliant idea to honor the Ukraine, by the way, is that man. He's the one that came up with it. He's got the Ukraine flag flying from the front of his house. It's his flag that's going to be with the Hibernian colors going down the street.
Well, shucks. Let's get back to the parade.
What we talked about
I wanna
is,
hear more about this, too.
where's the best place to put Ukrainian group? We thought, well, the best unit in the parade is the Londonderry Band. We put them right in front of the Londonderry Band coming down the street because everybody wants to see the
That
Londonderry
would be
Band.
a
They're not going to go
great
home.
That's
a
would
great
be
spot.
fantastic.
They're not going to go home till Londonderry goes by.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what we were kicking around today.
Oh, that's
I-
wonderful.
That's a good
Wow.
For
possibility.
what it's worth, I think that's a
That's a
great
nice-
idea.
that's
We're
a
hoping
nice-
for
nice-
a big turnout. I mean, it's a very small church, but hey, Ukraine borders on on Poland. Maybe the Poland church will come out, and Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, all those whatever groups
Yeah.
that are that. We hope a whole bunch of them will get together behind the Ukrainian flag.
Yeah.
So
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. It's a change.
it's exciting.
It's a big change for the
Yeah.
parade and kind of appropriate. And you'll be
Very
leading the
appropriate.
charge down Elm Street.
Very exciting.
We're at another waypoint in the show. I'd like to take another quick break, 30 seconds. We can regroup because I don't know where we're going. And we'll be back, folks, for another 20 minutes or so of the Progress Report. Don't go far.
Yours.
I'll keep going with this. I'm having a blast here today, folks. Don't forget to call in 603-640-3091. There's got to be an Irishman out there who wants to call and talk about this, or an Englishman who wants to complain about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Come on, bring it on.
Or a French Canadian.
Or a French Canadian. Yes, I agree. Oh, by the way, I want to bring that. Manchester is, at least when I was growing up, was considered a French town. I had a meme. I ate gorton and pork pie. You know what I mean? So the fact of the matter is, though, Manchester is also among the most Irish towns by population in the country. It's a strange distinction that the latest census came out with. So Manchester has a very strong Irish population, or at least self-identified as.
What'd you
as
do with
Irish.
all the French Canadians? You make a move?
No, they're still here, but they're just like me, for example. I could pick one way or the other. Guess
As
where
could I.
went.
As could I.
In the month of March, not even a vote.
Right.
So listen, we're talking about some of the things that folks can see if they come out to the parade, which they all have to do. We beg you, come on out. There's a lot of effort that's gone into this. Come out and take a look at it. It's going to be very entertaining. But I want to talk about one special thing that the Hibernians are doing this year that we've never done before. We usually come down the street with our pipe and drum band and the ladies of the AOH, and then the old guys of the Ancient Order of Hibernians. But this year we're going to follow that up with the largest Irish flag ever seen in the state of New Hampshire. And I challenge anyone to prove me wrong if you'd like. But that's I'm declaring it to be the world record largest Irish flag in the state of New Hampshire. It's going to spread across Elm Street, and I don't know, close to 100 feet long. So it's going to be huge. That's a brand new thing that we have never done. We're going to march it down. It's going to be really spectacular coming down Elm Street. And it's important that people understand that we have dedicated that flag to the memory of a departed Hibernian brother. That is the Kenneth P. Robinson Jr. Memorial Tricolor, and it always will be. And the reason we did that is because back in, it was July of 21, I believe it was. No, 2020. One of the greatest Hibernians that has ever lived, Kenny Robinson Jr., 51 years old, died in his sleep of a heart attack. We were robbed that night. We were robbed that morning of the most exemplary volunteer I have ever seen, and I have hung around with a lot of volunteers in my life. Kenny Robinson exemplified what it was to volunteer for your community, whether it was his family, his church, his business, the Hibernians, the parade. He was there all the time. And to recognize his memory, we're going to unfurl the Kenneth P. Robinson Jr. Memorial Tricolor for the first time on March 27th at the 25th St. Patrick's Day Parade. His family will be there with us.
We have a separate banner.
We have a separate banner announcing it. And
Kenneth Robinson, and Jen's going to be there.
Jen's going to be there with her family, and we're very proud to offer that. We hope that when the people of Manchester see that coming down the street, they go, wow, look at that thing. And we're going to bring it back every year hereafter.
That's wonderful.
But I wanted people, in case anyone had any question, you got to talk about Kenny. Bill, you knew him.
Kenny, remarkable young man compared to me. He was young, but he had his own business.
Compared to me, he was remarkable.
And the main guy who ran his business was Ken. He had an assistant, but he was in the glass business. He ran his own business. He was an officer in the AOH for many years. Due to Kenny, he was the main contact with our relationship with Millennium Running, and Millennium pays us a fee when we help out with parking and traffic.
A great
management.
Fundraising effort for us.
And that money was just so welcome in our treasury, enabled us to do a heck of a lot of things to help other charitable organizations. And Ken was the main contact with John Mortimer, and we still have a relationship with John Mortimer. But Ken was the main one, and for trying to deal with a bunch of Irish guys early in the morning, sometimes it was before dawn, telling them where to go to this corner and
show
do that,
up on time,
and don't holler at the people trying to run you over and all. Just a remarkable man that he could carve out the time for his family, for the OH, for the parade, and run his own business. I mean, the man was in business for himself. It's just remarkable. And I remember you called me. I was driving down there, almost ran the car off the road, because his father, who had been
Chief.
His father had been in a nursing home for a long time. And I said, oh, geez, old Ken. He was a great guy. I knew him well and all that. And he said, no, Bill. Tough day. Tough day.
It was. But we're going to honor him, and no one deserves the honor. I also want to point out that Millennium Running, they have their annual awards banquet, and they have named their Volunteer of the Year award the Kenneth Robinson Volunteer of the Year award. So
really, that's great.
He's being remembered. But when you see that, touch your heart, but say hey for the big, giant, 100-foot long St. Patrick's Day flag.
That's wonderful.
We mentioned Millennium. I remember when I was parade coordinator, one day I was getting ready to go to work. It was about 8:15 in the morning, and I got a call from this guy named John Mortimer. And he said, you involved with the St. Patrick's? Yes, I am. He said, I want to have a road race the morning of your parade. And I said, forget it. I'm on my way to work. Give me a call in a few days.
But they do it.
If you know Mortimer, he assertive.
Yeah.
That would be a mild description. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there is going to be a race. Persuasive. There's going to be a race, and in recent years, the road race did not run all the way up Elm Street and down. It would run side streets and over on Canal. They changed it this year, so it's going to be starting at Veterans Park and go all the way up Elm Street, turn around right at Salmon and go down, and it's going to be a huge traffic jam up there where all those runners turning around.
Because that's where the parade stage is.
And the parade starts.
It's going to be great. Can't wait.
Well, the first couple of years, that's where it was. And I told Morton, I threatened him with physical danger. Mortimer, I said, if you interfere with the start of this parade, we're going to send a fire truck down and run over your runners. So he's back at that route, but I think
we do not mean this, folks. We do not mean Bill's success.
Well, and come on, let's be fair. John runs a really nice operation, and he has a
very successful.
Very successful, and he's got a great track record, no pun intended, of putting on some great races. So he knows, for many years after I was involved with, after I sort of dialed back my involvement with the parade committee, I still emceed the parade from the stand, and so I got to see the race sort of, as it was wrapping up, and man, they do a nice job of getting out of the way when it's done. But the really wonderful thing is that I think that the race brings down a whole different crowd of people that weren't necessarily coming to the parade to begin with,
But
right?
they stick around for it, I
And now they stick around for it. So it
There are all
really
those
is,
people in the kilts,
in the
the braided kilts,
and the green
plaid kilts.
the green striped socks and the headbands, and they're the ones that are really festively dressed, and I think it's been a real nice addition to Parade Day, because it brings a whole it increases the level of energy on Elm Street that day, because like you say, most of them stick around, they watch the parade, there's lots of families. I mean, it's just a wonderful addition, you know. My cranky friend here, so,
I'm not the parade coordinator anymore. Whatever happens,
he doesn't
it's
have
just-
to be the
Send me
cranky
down the
anymore.
street and I'll smile the entire way.
And that's going to be new for me. I've never gone down the road on
Stress
Parade
free.
Day.
It's gonna be stress
I'm
free this
so
time.
Really?
excited.
Yeah.
I've
This
never.
is the first time you're going to be actually participating as a participant in the parade?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She worked
My
up in the North
goodness.
End a couple of times.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'll just tell one
Go
quick
ahead.
story.
They took that away from me. They took that job
Well,
away from me.
The toughest job up there is where you got all the vehicles and everything come together. And we used to have Dick Tracy, big 6'4" retired police captain.
I remember.
When he wasn't there, different people would say, "What's next? You next? You next?" And she helped me out one year. She did a great job. So the next year I said, "Well, go ahead. I'll just stand by." And it was not a good parade. It was cold. Things were moving slowly, and I was down about a half a block away and trying to get people organized. And I walked up, and there, right in the middle of the intersection of Salmon and Elm Street, was her and the mayor, nose to nose. And he was saying, "You got to get this parade going." And she said, "I know what I'm doing. You leave me alone." And I thought, "Oh, God, here we go. Here we go. The cops are going to be gone." Remember that?
No, actually,
that's
I don't
funny.
remember that.
I wouldn't
The cops
want
are
to.
going to come. The cops are going to be gone. That's
Right.
So I walked out. I said, "Steph, send that next unit down." And then we were fine after that.
We
But it was
were.
just one of these clogged things. It was cold. And the mayor, of course, there are politicians all over the place because the Democrat State Committee has their breakfast
That
in
morning.
the tower.
that
that
morning,
right
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Tower
So you've
Cafe.
got
Right.
state
Yeah, Tower
senators,
Cafe,
various
right.
people, and Gatsis was the mayor, and he wanted people to get moving. And I thought, I would better step in between the two of them. It was an interesting day. The parade ran well, though, and she did a lot of work, very hard work.
It's interesting. I mean, people don't think of the mechanics behind the parade. You know,
All right.
to get the thing about a parade is you want that rhythm of no big spaces between your marching.
You
You know, your
don't want
marching
to see the
bands.
bands have to stop. And,
You want it to be a nice, quiet pace the whole way down the road, and weaving together a high school band and a marching unit of Cub Scouts and a float and a fire truck. I mean, it is just you truly can't imagine what delicacy it takes, and like Bill's saying,
choreography.
It is.
and then
Good
sweet
word for it.
talking. I got to tell you what I remember. It wasn't actually an elected official that I was toe to toe with. It was some of the. It was one of the pipe bands who wanted to give me lip about their language of make ready and step off, and I wasn't using their language and they weren't going to play nice with me. So that's I remember. So I only got to do that 1 or 2 years. It was my favorite job on the parade committee, but it was taken from me for all the reasons Bill said, because they
For political reasons.
capital
Most
P,
definitely.
capital P, political
yeah.
reasons.
But-
I got a promotion.
Yeah.
They gave me a promotion. They said, now we want you to MC the parade. So you're going to be up there on stage, and everybody's going to be listening to you. And
Well, we had for many years. We had Kevin Flynn,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the folks, McDonald. He does New Hampshire.
Sean McDonald?
Sean McDonald was on it, and it was always a male.
Yeah.
And at one of the meetings, I said, we should probably have 2 people doing it. So for a number of years, you and Kevin Flynn did it.
I did it with Kevin for a number of years.
And
I did it with
because
Sean.
she helped put the parade together. Kevin had been in but Kevin was a great ad-libber.
Oh, Kevin was
And
great. A
great
TV
guy.
guy. I mean, he knows how to just,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so it
I
was a great
admired that.
combo there.
Yeah,
So, it
yeah.
worked
And I
very
think I
well.
did it with Sean for a year or two as well
oh,
at
did
the
you?
end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I got promoted out of my area of incompetence.
If you're the parade coordinator, you don't really, during the day, you don't know what's going on at the review stand. You just hope no one has run into it.
Right.
No people have come along and tripped or anything, because you're up in the north end hoping you can just push this thing down
Right.
the road and the units won't have a problem.
Right.
So is this thing all ready to go, or you still got a lot of angst and
We have.
drama to go through?
I don't think there's much drama. I think we today we got a whole bunch of the equipment out of the. We keep the stuff in the shed at the Police Athletic League over there in that little place across the street, and then Dan O'Neill and Jim Walsh and I met and try to talk some of the stuff out. And I think we're in very good shape. Some of these units.
All
sent
the
back their
bands are
things,
all set. They're gonna.
But
they're all.
I think what we
all
call the
gonna
paid
march.
units.
Yep.
He said the paid units are set.
Great.
Some of the non-paid units, like the
Really good for you.
Ukrainian
Cub
Church and some of the
Scouts
other
and-
ones, and
yeah.
we're trying to get the Elks in and the Girl Scouts and all that. Those are still
Wow.
floating.
Those will come in
But really,
the last few days.
Like I said, I haven't been too active, but when I got active and we had the discussion today, I said, "Gee, I think we're in pretty good shape." I hate
It all
to,
comes
hate
back
to
to
be,
you, huh?
hate to be
May
so
it be
positive.
so.
Right.
May it be so.
Skies are going to fall, right?
You two outstanding people. All this that you do to this wonderful gift you give to the city of Manchester at the time when we really need it. When
I think this
really
year
tired of winter.
particularly, I remember some of the old hands would said, the best parade and the best crowd was the very first one. It had been one of these things. It was an awful, awful winter, and the sun came out 2 days before the parade, and it was warm and beautiful. And I didn't think the police could handle the crowds. Everybody just wanted to get out of the house.
Right.
And I hope
Well, I
that's
think
the way
they're going to
it is
feel
this
that
year.
way today.
I think
think so,
that's
too.
going
We've
to
all
happen
been really
in 10
tired
days.
of
I
doing
think they will.
Zooms and,
Yeah.
and not being out and doing things. But you're going to
Yeah.
have an outdoor event. May the weather be good for you. And
If
'cause
the
you-
weather's good, downtown is going to be
There'll be no
mobbed.
stopping us.
There'll be no stopping us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Okay.
current president of AOH has come up with a weather forecast, so I think
Right?
no, it's all
Right.
positive here.
Right.
No negative vibes.
I'm not
from
gonna.
here on
I'll
out.
have none of it. I'll have none of it.
And I
Exerting all
appreciate
of my
that.
official authority.
I appreciate that for my parade. I'll take your good weather
Stephanie,
decree.
we definitely need a good one for you. I think that
thanks, Mike.
your reign as Grand Marshal has been a wonderful one, and now you can step out into the sunshine, and you'll be like I'm assuming like
Oh,
Al
she's the
Heidenreich.
outgoing grandmother.
No. She's
Incoming.
Oh, you're incoming, okay.
Yeah.
But you get to wear the sash now everywhere you go.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Actually, that was something I thought recently. If I can make a comment, the passing of the sash mass happens this weekend so it'll be the 19th.
St. Raphael's.
St. Raphael's. I think it should happen a week earlier, because wouldn't it be wonderful to have the sash for St. Patrick's Day?
There's
If
a
one
thought.
were
Always looking to improve on greatness. I love that.
If one were to be wandering out and about on St. Patrick's Day, I think that perhaps a green, white, and gold sash might help
Saying
you.
Grand Marshal.
Saying Grand Marshal might help you avoid lines.
Yeah.
At
Depends where you plan to socialize on the 17th. That's correct.
Well, as much
I think
fun
it's
as
a brilliant.
we're going to have to work on that, but as much fun as we're having, the show has come to an end. We have to end it. There's plenty more to talk about. Folks, come on out on March 27th. Have a great St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Bob, anything to close with?
I just think you have the greatest St. Patrick's Day parade ever, and I hope it's this year because it's a wonderful gift to the city. And thank you both. Thank you for joining us.